So now we're going to flip back to page 86, pages 86 and 87. We're actually going to look at the first requirement of the 9 graduation requirements. So we're going to be looking at freshman competency requirements for mathematics and writing. So students have to fulfill these requirements by demonstrating competency in basic math and standard written English. So listed in the catalog are the various ways a student can demonstrate the math and writing competency. Examples of demonstrating the competency in entry-level math and standard written English are having at least the minimum scores required on the SAT or ACTs, scoring high enough on a math or English AP or IBAC exam that will award college credit in those subjects, or by getting at least a C grade in an approved transferable math or English course from another college that will satisfy the GE requirement at SDSU. So if you look under item A on page 86, if one person can read out just one of those, it's one way to fulfill the entry-level math competency. Thank you.
Score of 50 on CSU entry-level mathematics test is taken after February 2002, or an ELM score of 550 was taken before February 2002.
Perfect. So that was just one example among the many ways to fulfill the entry-level mathematics requirement. So if the student does not have the minimum scores required on the SATs, ACTs, and they don't have a minimum score on a math or English AP exam, and they don't have college credit in a GE math or English course, then the student must take our ELM and or our EPT. So the ELM is the entry-level math, and the EPT is the English placement test. So students, if they don't meet these competencies, they have the opportunity to show that they have the competency by taking these different exams and passing them. So for fall 2017 freshmen, if they're California residents who need to take the ELM and EPT placement exams, must do so by May 6, 2017. So fall 2017 freshmen, if they're California residents who need to take the ELM and EPT because they have not passed the competencies in these other ways, they need to take these exams by May 6, 2017. Any questions so far? Yes?
Where does it say that? Does it, the May say?
It says it on the admissions website.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, it doesn't say it in there.
Okay.
Yes, that
What
changes every
about
year.
out of state? Is it like
We're going to cover that in just a few minutes. Yeah, this is just, this particular date is just referring to in-state freshmen. Yes?
So that's when they have to take the exams for those?
They have to take it by. So if they didn't satisfy the competencies by like their SAT scores, for example, then they have to take the ELM EPT test by May 6th.
Gotcha. I was like getting it confused of like if they'd already started and I was like, oh, that's weird.
Yeah. Does that make sense now?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Any other questions on that? Okay. So if a California resident freshman takes and fails one or both of these exams, they will be required to take the appropriate remedial math or English course during the summer of 2017. They will be part of the FAST program. This stands for Freshman Academic Success Track. So because we're dealing with several different populations here, I'm just going to repeat myself. If the California resident freshman that had to take the ELM and or EPT and they fail one or both of these exams, their remedial math or English must be taken during summer of 2017 as part of the FAST program. Any questions on that? Yes.
Does it have to be taken here, or is it with other CSUs as well?
The FAST program? I believe it's here.
For local students, it's here.
Yeah.
So local as in California, or like down here?
Local as in down here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Once they're out of our area, they take it on
It stands for Freshman Academic Success Track. Any other questions on that before we move on? Okay. Oh, well, thanks. Eunice just answered the question, and it's right here in front of me. The FAST program is system-wide, and it is required for California resident students who took and did not pass the ELM and/or EPT, and who therefore need remediation, so developmental math and English courses below 100 level. And these classes are going to prepare the student for the college level math and English. So getting credit in these courses will then satisfy the competency requirements. Because remedial courses are below 100 level, they will not count towards the overall 120 units needed to graduate. But the student must earn credits in these developmental courses in order to fulfill the competency requirements and be able to move forward in math and English. Yes?
Do they count towards standing, like sophomore standing?
No, they don't count in unit totals at all. Yes?
Do they count towards their GPA?
Nope. And that's because they're credit, no credit, and because they're developmental. Yeah, they're below 100 level. Yes?
So, I know like one of the requirements is like if your high school math class, like can waive it as well. Is there any way that you can like find a list of those classes that'll like make up for that requirement? Because I like had an issue with it when I was a freshman and I didn't know like where to go to find information about it.
So your question is, when you're a high school student, there's certain classes you can take to be exempt from the
Yeah,
ELM?
yeah, and there's like a list of classes that exempt.
Admissions. Admissions has that list, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And, yeah.
Is
It's,
that-
this is kind of a little bit more detailed than you need to know, but it's just
Yeah.
informational. Students that, yes, you can take certain courses to be exempt, however, you have to get that exemption or status. So in high school, they take like some sort of exam during their junior year, and it's called the EAP, the Early Assessment Program. Has anybody heard about that? So depending on how you do, you can be college ready, which you're completely exempt, or you can be conditionally. And this could be both for math and English. So your senior year, you would take an approved senior level class and pass it, and that would essentially, you'd be, you know, if you pass it, you would get that covered. But that's not really something major. A lot of students will have to contact our office of admissions before they're even admitted to kind of figure that out.
And thanks for pointing that out, because that didn't come up very often, but it came up a couple of times last year during orientation. And they were a conditional student and they hadn't gotten admissions, their final high school transcript. So that's why they remained conditional, so they were still showing that they had not passed the ELM and EPT, and those students had to work with the admissions office to get that taken care of. Awesome. Any other questions on that? Yes?
So these developmental classes don't count towards anything then?
No, but the student has to pass them in order to be allowed to move on. That's a great question, and we'll go a little bit more into those classes. Did you have a question, Jim? No? Yes?
I had a question. So for the students who are taking the who don't live in California and take the ELM EPT, if they don't pass it, they start taking it this semester, like fall semester, those remedial
Instead of
classes.
having to take it in the FAST program, yes, that's correct. Any other questions? Yes?
But they can get multiple attempts at this, right? To pass the ELM and APT?
That actually came up as a question. I don't,
Not sure?
yes and no, I sort of am sure. Multiple attempts, so as far as the student, I think it's different for a current student versus like once you're here
Okay.
and a student coming in. So if the
Oh, I
student
see.
coming in did not pass ELM EPT, I don't know if they're allowed to take it again. I know they have to do so by the May 6th deadline, so I would recommend I mean, we wouldn't even be talking with those students. I don't talk with students until they're matriculated, so I'm not sure on the answer to that question, because it is different for current students. But then, if they are a if they're a California resident, then they'll just take the courses during the summer. Yeah, so I'm not sure on that. Maybe we could check with admissions on that. Yes?
Do they take both courses during the summer, or one summer and then like one?
If they failed both, if they had to take both and they failed both, then they'll take both courses in the summer.
Okay.
Yeah, but if they only have to take one, then they'll get paired with another course, like a GE course, just in case they need the 6 credits for financial aid.
Okay.
Any other questions before we move on? Okay. All right. So these courses have required registration. So they must be taken in the semester that they're required, and they must register for these courses before they're allowed to register for other courses. So by orientation, when you'll be working with students, they should have all taken the ELM EPT placement exams and know which math and English class will be required for them to take. Or they should have already satisfied the math and writing competency by one of the ways listed in the catalog that we talked about. So SAT, ACT scores, AP, IBAC, or college credit in a GE course. Does that make sense? Okay. If the student needed to take the ELM or EPT and they do not take the ELM or EPT, they are not allowed to register for fall courses. If they were required to take the ELM, EPT, and they did not, they cannot register for fall courses. The exception to this is students that are coming from outside of California, so non-residents of California. So out-of-state freshmen, they must take the ELM, EPT before school begins. So the exams are typically offered, in the past they've been offered that move-in weekend. This past year they were offered a few days earlier so that the scores were released earlier. And the test office hasn't yet released the information, but we're hopeful that the ELM EPT exams will, again, instead of being offered on move-in weekend, be offered a few days early, so that the scores come back even earlier, so that students have plenty of time to adjust their schedules. Does that make sense? This is for out-of-state, right? Out-of-state freshmen.
So they can still register when they come for orientation, even though they haven't taken it yet?
Yes.
Oh.
Another option for those students is to take, have their ELM EPT proctored for them in their own home state. That way they have the scores and they know what they need to register for. Any questions on that? Yes?
Out-of-state students though can still test out of these exams, like with the SAT scores, AP scores?
Oh,
Okay,
absolutely,
that's just
yep.
like general.
This is just if you
If they
didn't
didn't.
pass the competencies in one of those ways, then we go to the next step, yeah. Any other questions? Bless you.
Bless you.
Just if you could clarify, so they, out-of-state students can register, but then have to take it before they start their classes? Or
Yes. They started that move-in weekend or that couple days prior to that move-in weekend. And then the scores will be released. They're scored locally. So the scores are available that first week of classes to give the student plenty of time to adjust their schedule. Yes?
If they weren't past it, and they did.
If, like, let's say they failed the ELN, for example, and they had to go into a remedial math, then they'd have to adjust their schedule. And like, let's say they picked the GE math or something like that, they'd have to adjust their schedule and pick up that remedial math.
So they do that here.
Yeah. And that's why they're being scored just a little earlier, so that we get those scores back earlier, because we want to make sure with the wait list that these students can be accommodated. Yes?
Will we be dealing with like international students or saying, who are studying for the semester and year?
International students, I think we have one group
One
of freshman
orientation.
international students.
One.
Yeah.
Orientation, international students who are here for 4 years per degree. We
Yeah,
don't do the study abroad
right.
semester.
So what was your question about them?
Just
Just in general? Okay, yeah. So there will be one. Transfers, this doesn't refer to transfers at all. This is a freshman requirement. And